welcome to Trauma Talk with the Doc. I'm your host, Dr. Christina Rock, PsyD. I've been working in the therapy world for almost 20 years, with most of them immersed in trauma therapy. I'm MDRIA certified in EMDR, trained in brain spotting, internal family systems, I'm DBT certified, and all of that to say, I know what I'm talking about. This mini-series is designed to provide some psychoeducation on trauma, what it is, what it does, and how it fucks us up. This is not meant to provide a diagnosis, to treat, or to do anything other than educate and hopefully entertain. If you feel some type of way about what I'm sharing, please talk to a trauma-informed professional. Now, without further ado, let's get nerdy. Hello, 'tis I, Dr. Rock, aka Christina, aka Mom, aka She Will Who Not Be Named. I'm sure I have a lot of other names floating around out there. Welcome to my side piece, Trauma Talk with the Doc. This is the first episode, so this week I'm going to tell you all a little bit about myself, about what got me interested in trauma. I'll hopefully hook you with my effervescent charm and wit, a little bit of dark humor, a lot of probably cussing, witty knowledge about trauma, though. And if I don't, I'm sure that I will have some interesting facts that will make you want to stick around for at least something, even if it's just to make fun of me. What I'm not here for is to diagnose anybody or provide any kind of treatment. Please do not watch any of my videos and go home and say, oh my God, I listened to Trauma Talk with the Doc and you've got trauma. We all kind of have trauma. We'll talk about that. That's the next episode. I really feel like it's lame, honestly, to have to keep doing these disclaimers of I'm not going to diagnose or treat you. We're in a pretty litigious society. A lot of times there is things like AI that are not being used great or well. People not wanting to take accountability. There's lots of those issues. And so I just want to make sure that we're all clear that this is psychoeducational in nature. It's informational in nature. Please don't take this and bring this home to your spouse or your loved one or your family member or your kid or anybody and say, well, Christina said this, so now that's what you have. Let's talk about research. I'm going to use lots and lots of research in these videos. I loathe research. Let me back up. I don't loathe it. I am so tired of having to read it, and I don't like statistics. Research is my work is bolstered in research or by research, and the field of therapy is becoming so much more knowledgeable in the scientific ways, the physical ways in which our bodies are impacted by the world around us, neurotransmitters in the brain. You know, back in the day, we thought that women were just depressed because they were hysterical, and and then Freud stepped in and was like, well, wait a minute now. And then we learned that there's things called neurotransmitters that make things like serotonin and dopamine, and some people don't make enough of those. So science is always evolving, research is always evolving, and how we approach the work that we do needs research in order for it to continue. So I definitely have a love-hate relationship with it. So I'm going to provide you with resources at the end of every video that I provide a resource in the video. So if I tell you, hey, there's a research article about this thing, better believe there's going to be a citation for that research article afterwards. Whether you can access that is up to you. But I firmly believe that trauma work, especially trauma work, has come so far with the advent of more utilization of research, more scientific inventions and things. So definitely I will be including more of that. All right, let's get this thing started. It was a warm, sunny day in that's the different podcast. Why am I a trauma therapist? I was 12 when I saw Silence of the Lambs. I thought I wanted to be a veterinarian until I realized animals die, and then that came off the list instantaneously. I saw Silence of the Lambs, wanted to be Clarice Starling. Clearly, that is not what I do. It's definitely not what happened. It's definitely not even the path I went down. I joined the Army when I was in college. I made the decision to separate from active duty in 2011. And even at that point, I don't know that I was convinced I wanted to be a therapist. I have always had, since Silence of the Lambs, I've always had this curiosity in why do people do the things that they do and what makes the brain tick the way that it ticks. I was getting my master's degree in forensic psychology because when you're on active duty, that's what you do as a good officer. You get degrees because somehow that makes you a good officer, just like you get a 350 on your APFT because somehow that means you're a good leader. It just means you can do a lot of push-ups. I know some really dumb motherfuckers who could PT their ass off and couldn't lead their way out of a paper bag. But again, I digress. I've always been interested in how the brain works, what makes it tick, what makes it do what it does, and how do we as a human being attached to that brain act as a result of it? And then how do the experiences that we have throughout our lives shape how we react to what's happening now? I was pretty confused about my own childhood life experiences, so big shout out to Mom and Dad Rock, and I needed some understanding. And so I think for me, that was a really great way to kind of understand what I was doing with myself. But I never really wanted to be a therapist. I thought that was sitting in a room and listening to a depressed housewife tell you why yellow makes her sad. And while those therapists are crucial, because sometimes yellow does make you sad and you absolutely need a place to talk about it, that wasn't my kind of therapy. I discovered during my internship for this master's degree that therapy was so much more than that. Oh my God. I was able to co-facilitate a group of women sex offenders. I was at a women's prison. I was honored to sit with women who were struggling with some real life shit, domestic violence, self-esteem issues, trauma, identity concerns, personality issues, real shit. Not that depression is not real, but real complex shit that made me realize that this was what I needed to do. I needed something spicy. So I got out of the Army 2011, and as one does as a military spouse, I kind of putzed around the country a little bit. I followed my service member every 2 years, starting over professionally every time, which is so much fun. Shout out to the spouses and the family members who reinvent themselves every 2 years. It is wild. It is absolutely wild. Especially those who place themselves in a niche career like mine, where you're limited in terms of the industry. It's not like I can go out and get a job. I could, but I can't go out and get a job, bagging groceries at the commissary, because I had a master's degree in forensic psychology and I was in this career and had a history of being a therapist. So I began my career in therapy working at a correctional facility. I had my internship at a corrections facility. Once you are competent in corrections in terms of being a therapist, they kind of want you to stay there for a long time. So you've got a good job wherever you go. I loved it. I have worked in every classification of facility, from county to state to federal. I have worked in halfway houses all the way up to supermax. And in all settings, I found that I had to redefine what trauma actually looked like, how I was able to help those who were struggling with it, how I understood it, what the appropriate research was that supported the whole concept of what trauma is and how we get fucked up because of it. I obtained a certification as a trauma professional, went to trainings and seminars, and it wasn't until I really started focusing on the brain and the brain's connection with the body that I really started to truly understand trauma. The work for me was Bessel van der Kolk's seminal work of The Body Keeps the Score, which there is research, which I will talk about in a later episode, so I'm not putting it in this one, that the body doesn't actually keep the score, but it does, but that's not the point. And I really got involved in how the body reacts and how the brain is that conduit. So we're going to talk a little bit in the next episode about what trauma is, how it progressed from something that Freud was poo-pooing for that Freud was poo-pooed for treating, to something that a lot of clinicians on the planet now seem to be informed about. Informed, and I use that term very loosely. We're going to talk about what trauma-informed is. And as a psychologist and licensed professional counselor, I still have a ton of shit to learn. I really do. I just came back from the trauma conference, 37th annual Boston Trauma Conference, hosted by the Trauma Research Foundation. And I never left a seminar without having learned a shit ton. Some really cool stuff came out of that. I am hoping to have one or two people on here in later episodes to talk a little bit about that, those findings, other findings, cool stuff. I say all that to say there's so much that we don't know. There's so much in this field that's still evolving. From Bessel's The Body Keeps the Score to research that says, well, it doesn't actually hold on to things. That's not completely accurate. This is what we now know about it. But here's what I do know. It's an adaptable animal. And until you figure out a way to put a leash on it so you can take it out safely in public, it will always rule you. So future episodes are going to talk about, lots of different ways to understand it, the science behind it. What are the structures in the brain the amygdala, the huge, like, it's not huge, it's actually very tiny, but it's kind of like this big important thing that we talk about when we talk about trauma and fear reactions. It is the fear center. It is the part in your limbic system of the brain that tells you, holy shit, you're going to die. We have to do something. We're going to talk about other structures of the brain. We're going to talk about neurotransmitters. We're then going to talk about stuff that happens in your body as a result, like autoimmune disorders, cancer, heart conditions, high blood pressure, digestive issues, IBS, diabetes, all sorts of other things that the body compensates, that the body gives up to compensate for prolonged stress, trauma, and other issues. So, short little ditty. I'm really hoping you guys follow for more. These episodes will come out periodically. I'm not going to do one every single week or every other week. We are going to alternate between Therapy Unpacked. I've still got the PSA series that Peggy and I check in with each other about. We tend to get a little irritated and spicy about some things. We're going to continue to get irritated and spicy about some things. We are coming back with more Tiny Hands videos, so I hope you guys stay tuned for those. And the practice is also undergoing some pretty big changes, so more to follow for that. But I hope something I said today resonates with you. I hope something I will say in the future resonates with you. And if you find yourself tuning into our next episode and then the ones after, awesome. Thank you. Welcome. If you have thoughts or questions, please shoot me an email. A lot of the topics that I'm going to talk about are coming from questions that I've been asked, from friends, from clients, questions that I myself have asked going to a trauma training. Hey, I wonder how this thing works. Or, oh my gosh, I didn't know that this was a result of that, or that these two things were combined. So if you have questions or thoughts, or there's a specific topic you want me to talk about or address, shoot us an email. It's social@gotyoursixcounseling.net. You can comment under this video. You can reach out to us on our socials. All of that stuff will be posted after this. I hope to see you guys on later episodes. I hope that you all are doing wonderful things and being safe, and I will see you at the next Trauma Talk with the Doc. Take care and be well. Thanks everyone for listening to this month's episode of Trauma Talk with the Doc. I'll be back next month with more information on all things trauma related. Be sure to check out our other projects, Holding a Line with Got Your Six, our main podcast, which is published every other week opposite this project, and Therapy Unpacked While Holding the Line, which happens monthly opposite our main pod as well. Hopefully today's episode made you think, helped you learn, or gave you some insight. Please hit us up on the socials or our email if you have questions or topics you'd like me to address in the next episode. See you next time.